Okay, so we're asking dumb SEO questions each week. We answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. With us tonight we have Archie Watt. Archie is a Google top contributor on the, is it the Search and Webmaster forums, Archie? Good. Archie's also studying Cisco uphill and down Dale. Micah Fisher-Kirshner blogs as the data marketeer. He's also head of search now at Zazzle.com. Is that right, Micah?
That it is. Okay.
And Tim Capper is head of onlineownership.com, Australia's, sorry, not Australia, the UK's leading SEO. Okay, so our first question tonight is from Niraj Kumar, who's asked a lot of questions of us recently. Essentially, he asked, does a link without rel author qualify for authorship? He goes on to say, someone shared my poem posted in my blog with as a poem written by Niraj Kumar. The link on my name is without rel author, and so does it qualify for authorship, as it doesn't have a link to a blog? Will it serve as a backlink to my blog?
Until he has the rel author in there, obviously, even with the rel author, you still need to add it to your contributor to section in your profile. Until those two things are done, it shouldn't make the connection. However, if he added the site to the contributor to section, Google may make the connection because it is linked, but it doesn't have the rel author in the link. Google may make the connection between the two, but that's obviously not a guarantee, and he's just got to give it a try to see if it does, because it's the same content. Somebody obviously copied it. I don't know why they would not have added the rel author on it, even though it was his and they copied it from it. But yeah, you know, Google may make the connection if he tries and adds it to his contributor to section. It might make the connection, but you know, that's just worth a shot.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, Niraj, I hope that's what you're looking for. Next, we have a question from Sandra Sinclair. Will paid ads on yp.com help me to rank better organically on Google and Bing search engine results pages? She said, I think I've read it somewhere that buying paid ads on yp.com would help me on the local SERP search engine result pages on Google and Bing. Please advise. She also says thanks. That's a nice thing.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any time, assuming that Yellow Pages has properly set up their ad system, that buying ads is going to make you rank organically better. So nothing directly. So that would be a no for me. I don't believe that would ever be the case.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tim in the thread made a point about where instead, Yellow Pages might rank actually for your brand, just because now you're providing content to them. So, is that right? Is that what you were referring to in the comment?
Yeah. I mean, I know she initially asked about, sort of paid ads. Definitely, paid ads shouldn't or won't help anyway organically. But I just brought up the point that if she advertises, with a regular listing, depending on obviously what search query or what it is, if it's something that's not, as a local business, that listing might actually, rank in that search in that search space. So that's just something to look at. Like a local thing. I use the thing sort of plumbers in a town. If there's not a lot of competition in that Yellow Pages may just naturally outrank above your site for that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we'll call this one answered. Have a question now from Gareth Marshall, asking, would you recommend Raven tools? Gareth says, hi guys, I work on an e-commerce site. We're currently using a free trial of Raven tools. Would anyone recommend buying it permanently? Let me know your thoughts if you'd all be so kind. Thanks.
I haven't used Raven tools to be able to say on my end. I mean, if it's working well for him, I don't know why. If he prefers kind of what he's been using already, he's been testing it out. Never hurts to. Well, actually, I thought it was. Is it? Do you guys know if it's an actual tool that it's a one-time pay? I thought it was a reoccurring payment system.
It is. It's a monthly fee.
Yeah. So you can always test it for a month or so, right? And then go from there.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, it's reoccurring.
I don't have much experience with it either, but like Dave says in the comments, there's other tools out there, and most of them offer free trials as well. So give them a try, see what works for you, and then buy a subscription to the one that you think is best.
Yeah, I've used Raven tools. I found them quite good. I was a paid subscriber there for I think 3 months. Always with me, I don't really have a need for the tools. I just like to play with things. And so eventually, when somebody asked me to authorize a payment, eventually I unsubscribed myself. Okay. Anyway, look, I hope that's a reasonable answer for you, Gareth, and I think that advice given was fairly good. There's plenty of tools to trial. If you're uncertain, and it sounds like you are a little uncertain, try another one and see how you go. Here's a question for us to get our teeth into. It's from Dave Elliott. What is the best way to make sure dynamic URLs are indexed properly? Dave says, as a hypothetical question, I have an e-commerce site which when filtering results generates a dynamic URL for every filtering option. What is the best way to make sure that the site is indexed properly and performs well in the search engine result pages? This is really a lay-down misere for Alistair Lattimore. Unfortunately, Alistair's not here, so we'll just have to do it, guys.
Well, Tony does provide a good link in terms of Google's faceted navigations. providing that a bit of an example there. Even if the is that the one that had the antiquated websites? Yeah. Even if the sites themselves or the site that Google likes to use as an example needs a update to the design, but yeah, essentially the the crawl tools that Google and Bing provide is one of the ways to make sure you're getting the right URLs to be indexed, and actually as well as properly crawled. Yeah, you gotta be. It's got to be one of those things to be very. You gotta be very careful with that. I don't know how likely. Let's see. I don't know how likely you can actually redo the filtering option, but if you're not able to restructure it so that you don't have to worry about kind of many of these dynamically generated URLs, then the filtering system that Google provides, at least, is very thorough in the questions and the setup that you need. So that actually may provide a pretty good basis for what you're needing there. Yeah, and then just and that's under that part where Google provides, at least, is under the URL parameter section.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next. Another one from Niraj Kumar. He has a question: can Google relate the synonyms, word meanings, and other noun variants? He said this was a conclusion of mine, but whenever I mentioned it, nobody listened seriously to it. I searched for Niraj Hindi poems, or Hindi, I guess. He said, and my blog snippet was on page 2. You may see that the highlighted words in the description are Niraj, Hindi, and Kavita, not poem. And why? He said, because Kavita is a Hindi translation for poem. Why the words Shayari, poetry, and Kavita, why are these words highlighted? Please ascertain that Google can relate the synonyms, word meanings, and other noun variants and considers them for search engine result pages.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see this. I don't know about for Hindi, but at least on the English side, yeah, there are words that there's a strong synonym to them. Google will highlight those words too. Kind of bothers me, but that I'm not the standard use case for this. But yeah, they absolutely, yeah. If it's a pretty close synonym that Google is fairly confident about, you'll find that they'll highlight those words and consider those pages then to rank as well.
Yep.
But and the other thing to notice, yeah, you should always be avoiding keyword stuffing anyway. Noted from comments from that post. You shouldn't be, really keyword stuffing anyway, regardless of if when Google has been more diligent or better at synonym matching.
Well, I thought it was very cool that they're not only matching the synonym, but matching the translated word. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, that's also why I think, at least when Google's been talking about the use of the href line, I mean, Google's able to, if you're using a fairly good, an auto-translate type tool, it's, and even a decent general translation system, like Google's able to kind of more or less match some variations through to it. So I'm not too surprised with that. It's cool, but yeah.
All right. So Niraj, I hope you're happy with that. Now we have a question from Jogesh Narula. Why is it necessary to add location with keywords in the keyword tool? He says, I don't know either I'm dumb or my question is, but here it is. This is, why is it necessary to add location with keywords? If so, then it means that we are indirectly forcing Google to treat our location as a keyword. Why doesn't Google show any organic local result for a generic query that doesn't have the location in it? It shows local listing results for the same query without adding any location. And we all know that Google tracks the IP location and shows local listing results on that basis. But why doesn't it show the same results for the organic part? Is Google so dumb that it can't show the organic results by tracking the user's IP address? So my question is, why doesn't Google show the local results for both listing and organic parts for a generic search term that doesn't have any location with it? Also, I want to know the method that Google uses to show the local and organic results for a generic query. All answers are welcome.
Yeah, I'm not sure kind of if it might be a location for where he is. If it's an international market, that might be different. But in the comments he was talking about Spa Center, and he was saying it won't show him local organic results. That'll be global. I'm not. It could be a global issue because I'm looking at it from at least the U.S. end, and when I do a search for that, I get local results, both in the listings and organic. And so I think there's a possibility that just, Google is not confident about the query being necessary to having local results. It could also be a good issue with some of the international side there. But generally they're able to. Don't forget that there's also the side of it where people sometimes want to see that phrase, the local location, in the title as a way to help to install confidence for people so they're more likely to click through. But I think it's just really up to Google's certainty about whether or not for a set market the query has a local component to it, because at least on the US end I often see it.
Well, in just doing Spa Center search on .co.uk, I've got, it's using my IP to return 5 out of 10, giving me a local search result. The other 5 are, okay, we don't really use Center in the UK, but the other 5 tend to give me, obviously, UK, spa breaks, special offers, things like that to do with spas. But 5 of them are IP locally, returned. So, yeah, I don't know why it's not returning it for you. There may not be, like Micah said, there may not be something specific near you as such, but it should be returning it. Obviously, if it can't find enough data to return local search results to you, then it will return, obviously, more generic countrywide for you, depending on, obviously, what you're searching. But yeah, it's certainly returning it on .co.uk. So, and it has done for a while. So.
Okay. Can we call Jogesh question answered?
Yep.
All right. Let's now go to a question from Greg Barker, who has a question about the URL format for a disavow. This is the one we were talking about, I think, while we were in the green room. Greg goes on to say, a question about the URL format for a disavow. In the Google disavow file, you are supposed to list domains with this format, domain, site.com. But when the URL you want to disavow is something like http //forums.example.com, would you list it in the disavow file this way? For example, domain forums.example.com, or simply domain example.com. Thanks.
So, yes, forums.example.com would be the right way to do it if you just wanted to disavow the subdomain. But from what W. Young's posted there, it looks like Google may treat that as a request to disavow all links from the entire domain. I don't really understand why they do that, but theoretically, yes, that's the right way to do it. And most of the time, it should only affect that subdomain.
Yes, I mean it seems to me. I mean, if they're going to say we'll disavow the root domain as well, if you use a subdomain, why don't they disavow all.com, all domains ending in .com if you enter example.com?
Yeah.
Anyway. So I think we can say that we have covered that one for you, Greg. Next is a question from Johan Emblom. Johan asks a question in regards to video-rich snippets. He says, hi, I have a question in regards to video-rich snippets. I would like to show an example when hosting your videos through YouTube instead of only on exampledomain.com. Has generated that the YouTube clip is outranking the example.com website's video content. Does anybody know a case like that? I think we can help there, but what about you guys? What he's saying is that hosting the YouTube clip on his site, but his clip is being outranked by the YouTube clip. I think that's fairly logical myself, but anyway, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are situations where that might occur, and the problem is I don't know any queries offhand where I've seen that. I'd have to go dive in to find an example, but I don't know anything off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, I mean, the YouTube clips that we use for dumb SEO questions, we host them on dumbseoquestions.com, and we also, but we have the actual clips on YouTube. Well, when they're on dumbseoquestions.com, they're inside a HTML5 powered iframe, so that they're. I mean, the thing is that the reason that they're outranking, YouTube is outranking the actual site, is because they're YouTube clips. So it just seems perfectly logical to me that the YouTube clip is the primary point. I mean, the only way to get around that is to host them yourself.
No, I mean, I've seen situations where I think his point was if you actually put in the snippet, then Google will generally show your site first before the YouTube video. So as long as you're providing information, I think that's kind of what he's trying to find is your case example where the YouTube video outranks your site, which has the snippet. And I'm not sure like what you were saying with like the dumb SEO questions, because the YouTube videos outrank the site, but if there's no video snippets, will that still be the case? And I don't know. I don't have an example offhand to see.
Maybe we should have a look at that. Okay, personally, I don't mind where the dumb SEO questions clips rank. We have them, they're Creative Commons, attribution use is allowed. We don't mind if you cut them up or slice them and dice them in any way you want. I'm just glad that they're being watched. So yeah, I don't mind who ranks for the content as long as the content is seen. Anyway, Mike Cook asks, this was a good question, and I think we should discuss it. He said, what if as a community we make a best recommendation SEO bookmarking HTML file for tools? He said, I have an idea, and I was thinking if everyone could help as a community. As SEO people are always looking for new tools and who uses what, so I thought that if as a community we could make a best recommendation SEO bookmarking HTML file that can be imported into everyone's Google who wants it. I got the answer from answering a previous question. I got the idea from answering a previous question. What does everybody think? Or is the heat in my office getting the best of me and I should just shut up? No, Mike, I think that was a great idea, but
it's already been done.
What's that?
It's already been done. I think Ann Smarty already built one of those. I have to, let's see, maybe I can find it. Yeah, I know she did one.
I'm sure. If you do a search for SEO tool reviews, I think you get about 15 million results returned. I mean, every man and his dog has got one. What I thought was where we could establish a point of difference is that we as a community could vet these tools and provide peer review and oversight. And to that end, I made a community SEO tools, which doesn't have everything in it yet. Otherwise, I would have linked from the SEO Questions community. But I thought over time we'll slowly build up a list of trusted SEO tools, which makes it a little bit different from the rest of the web.
Yeah, good work. We get questions on that. I mean, given we even today had one about Raven tools, so.
I think there's another couple of tools as well. I think what's prompted it is SEMrush giving us a look at their tool. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
anyway.
And then I didn't find Ann Smarties right off the bat, but I did find at least a blog post that dealt with that. I'll put that on the community. It was over on by Cirrus Shepherd. He had a one as well. That was an interactive one.
Ann's blog, of course, is demoted. Would that be why you couldn't find it?
Nah, I didn't even think about that. Let me see what the results was. Yeah, I didn't even look. I saw her picture, but it was on Search Engine Journal, so it's possible that might be why I can't find it.
What's the query you're searching on, Micah? I'll have a look myself.
Well, I mean, I was just looking for like Ann Smarty Excel tool list. And I probably shouldn't have done Excel, so I should do SEO tool. The ultimate collection, first post, search engine journal leads me to. Sorry, it's loading. I may have found it. I think I did. How old is this post? Oh, that's 2008. Thank you, Google, for sending me to an old post.
I see SEO. What was the blog? My blog guest, that wasn't it? Yeah, that's right.
It's all right. I found at least another one for them. So, but yeah, there's one out there by I think it was Ansmarty. I'm fairly sure it was. If not, I know there was a tool that dealt with it in Google Docs. So.
Okay. I'm going to put a link in the chat. Tell me what you think of this, guys. Is this odd? You see what I'm saying there? They don't seem to have descriptions, or at least are these the descriptions from the page? Surely these aren't the question. The descriptions are on the pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. The code looks like they are just the descriptions on the page.
Okay. Okay, so in that search, the only thing I see coming up.
It's funny how they're just doing all subdomains.
Well, all I'm saying is the job subdomain.
Yeah.
I see. Oh yeah. Hang on, I thought that. Oh no, there's one down there. There's a tracker, and I'm sure I saw another one. Oh no, yeah, there is one in between there. Position 7 there, Jim. There's a tracker one.
All right, but domain.
Wow.
But he's right. It's literally, if you exclude the my blog guest, that's the only other thing is the tracker is the only thing that shows up. So if you run that back query, yeah.
It's amazing. They still having a go.
But are they specifically? Is that Google's end or is that their end that they're blocking? Let's see.
Oh yeah, because I think they did, didn't they?
Yeah, they have a disallow for everything Googlebot. So you have to do the search on Bing.
Yeah, because that was it. They just I remember saying something like that, where we're turning our backs on Google basically.
Silly. Or is it silly? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Look, at the end of the day, Google's not the be-all and end-all, hey? They created a very big community. The community knows them. So I'm assuming that community will still be going on. And they will probably use social and other bits and bobs to find new people to join the community as such. So, in that sense, yeah, Google did basically shaft them. So they don't need them really. They've turned their back on them.
Yeah, I mean it's their call. I mean, it it's one. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's that whole debate of.
I mean, let's face it. Look, you know, okay, I understand the whole thing, but on the other hand, Google sat there and went through that site, finding other sites. You know, you know what I mean? They pretty much raped the site. They did. They literally sat there taking names and then went along and individually nailed every other site associated with, even if they had not ever published it and only using it as a community or forums. Literally any association, they nailed everything and anything that was associated, and they raped that site, man, and everything associated with it. It was just,
yeah, they treated it like it was a, you know, paid link type of site. So they treated it like it was like the old text link ads. That's what and open to the public.
Yeah, I don't think it was handled very well by Google, and I don't think, you know, I quite honestly, the way they handled it, I quite honestly don't blame them for, you know, disallowing Googlebot anymore. I'm pretty sure, you know, they'll do just as well, and the community will probably stay the same, if not thrive. Probably drop off in the beginning, but probably from the community side, I don't think it needs Google.
I mean, if they've built the branding and the following, and they continue promotion, they don't need Google, but they are limiting their potential growth and area in the market. That's the. I mean, but that's her choice.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but that's just kind of how the, you know, what they view as kind of what the rules should be, and in turn, you know, their, you know, Ant's philosophy for that is at odds with kind of what Google wants.
Yeah, I mean, they did change that. Granted, they did change it, but yeah, I mean, I totally agree. But if I had been, if I was in her shoes, I would have done the same. Totally. I just think Google handled that. It left a bad taste in my mouth the way they just went along, and anything associated with it, regardless of whether they had actually used the service, even if they had used the community and they had stupidly added their URL in there, you know, in any way, shape or form, even emails that had like their URL on it and had never actually used it were just nailed left, right and center. Any association with in any way, shape or form of that site, Google just took names and didn't give a shit. They just, you know, I just think the way they handled it wasn't cool. Anyway, but
they've not been known for doing the best with public relations on those fronts.
And I don't think they give a shit about it either.
Well, also a fair point.
But they went and nailed, what was it, post joint or something like that?
Oh yeah.
What was the next one they went after? Post joint or something. I think that's what it was called. Or
yeah.
Something like that. So at least they didn't go and nail one. They just thought, oh look, Anne, you know, we hope you feel a bit better because we're going to shaft this one and all.
I haven't heard as many people screaming though.
No. I think the takeaway from that was because they were saying, no, we don't allow Google access or something like that. But that was a bit dodge and all because Google obviously got access. They probably joined and then started nailing everything.
Well,
so,
they have to be careful of if they join because depending on the terms and conditions, if it's found that would be potentially illegal if there's a specific phrase in there. I think the point was with post joint was that I think they were saying that their list was untrackable.
Yeah, and stuff like that. Yeah.
And I think I think they just don't understand how sometimes the machine learning works. It's like, you may not think so, but with enough machine learning, Google can get enough confidence for what's going on.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely, and of course we know, I mean, from those reports with, I don't know how many, they probably all do it, but I mean we know for certain that Matt cuts like stalking the enemy and popping up in their own private, Twitter feeds.
I don't know how much I would trust a black hat post about that.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I just don't put it past them. They're out there, and if they want to get down and dirty, they'll get down and dirty. I have no doubt in my mind.
But why? Why is it necessary? I mean, it seems like a colossal waste of money and time and resources.
Oh well, the thing is, Jim, they've been given this remit, and they just like running with it.
You're saying that somebody said, "Here you are, guys. I want you to go and behave like a bunch of shitheads." Is that what you mean?
Well, I don't think they that overt. I mean, the only point or the face to the whole system we know is Matt Cutts, and look, there's only a small percentage of them out there in that section. The rest of Google is, about the site and Google Plus and developers and different it's such a tiny percentage, but just they're the pit bulls, and I suppose they're the ones that get the bad rap.
Yeah, and it's also just kind of they've had to change tactics. They which goes into probably that news article later. I think we posted to the community, but whether or not you tried to do kind of the stick versus carrot approach, and I think they view that the carrot approach hasn't worked for the algorithm, that it's just not sufficient for what they need, and that the stick approach and the FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, is a more effective option for them right now, given potentially some limitations at this time for the technology, for what they would look at in determining whether or not somebody is spamming.
Okay. Well, look, the thing that puzzles me is this, that Bing and Baidu and Yandex, Yahoo, all of those search engines don't need to carry on with all this bullshit. They don't have all these. They don't use penalties. Well, Bing has a couple, but for most egregious stuff. But in general terms, Bing doesn't use penalties. This is just a confabulation of a concoction of Google's own making. This nonsense thing where people dob in people, and then they have two engineers, and one engineer looks at it, another engineer approves it.
I don't know. I mean, that's the thing is when you're the largest person in the market, you're basically targeted very heavily. It's like saying a Mac and a PC. A Mac is more secure than a PC. It's like, yeah, there's a little bit of that, but you don't get as many people on a Mac than you do as a PC. So the market is going to be targeting heavily against those that are the dominant players.
Yeah, but I mean.
Also, if you think about it this way, Jim,
if
you create this kind of hype and stuff, and by doing it, they're also creating that their own. It's like their own kind of marketing. Well, we're the biggest, and we need to take action against this because we want to be the best. Well, do you see what I mean? So it all plays into their whole marketing thing. So it all works in their in their favor in that, but I understand what you totally mean. If they're the most technologically advanced and the biggest and the best, well, surely they could have figured this one out by now. But on the other hand, it could be playing to their market advantage.
I'll throw another one in, and one in from left field, if you like. I believe that Bing results are better than Google results. Now, I know the sky's going to fall in from saying that, but they are, and they don't need these penalties to do it. They don't need these star chamber nonsense things. They don't need all. Crap. So,
the thing is that you could say that, but when Bing ran its campaign, the data didn't show that. So.
Well, I mean, actually, and Jim, I'm going to concur with you there in the sense that, and I'm just waiting for the world to fall in and come to a grinding halt now. But in this last month, I have actually, to go and look at things, I have actually been searching on Bing in this last month.
Ooh.
Seriously, because the UK search results in Google in the last 2-3 months are getting worse and worse and worse. They are just shit. Yeah, I mean, for certain, I'm not saying for all of them, not every single search query, but you know, if I'm looking for small, niche, localized kind of businesses, the search results are absolutely diabolical. And I've been turning to Bing for my local search queries on niche businesses, because Google's they're just not hacking it.
Another percentage point there, huh?
Sorry?
Getting Bing up to a percentage point with your switch over.
No, but I'm just saying, you know, I've never done it really, but in this last month, I have probably searched, you know, used Bing 200-300 times for local niche, you know, queries. Because Google's just up to the job.
I haven't used Bing anywhere near that amount. In fact, I have to force myself. I've actually got it on my taskbar. I'm using the desktop version. I've got it on my taskbar to prompt me to try and use it, because that's the habit that's just ingrained in of using Google for about 12 straight years.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree.
But look, I think you're right. But isn't that the question, though? I mean, isn't that what we're talking about? If you're literally using Bing because the results are better, they're not using these penalties. They're not carrying on with all this silly rigmarole. So how are they doing it? I mean, it makes a mockery of the whole thing, doesn't it?
But it's a bit of a self-selection bias. I mean, for us, who are much more well-versed, you know, like there are areas where Google's results pisses me off to no end, because they changed kind of some of the functions of how to search, whereas on Bing I can, you know, do what I would normally do. But from a standpoint of a normal user who's not powering through and kind of knows the type of quality, for the most part, users find the basic level of what Google provides for them to be far more superior than for Bing.
I really don't. Yeah, no. I mean, especially on these little local search queries. Basically, local niche business search queries that I've been searching over for the last month, especially, and most of it wasn't to do with work. Most of it was actually when I moved home. So, local movers, mate, it's all Yelp, Gumtree, just all crap. Go to Bing, I get 10 businesses. Yeah, so Google is just Yelp and shit, right? go to Bing. I've got 10 businesses I can actually physically click on, check their website, and I can phone them. So it was what? It was movers, plumbers. It was what am I looking for at the minute? Guys to do to tarmac a little section of my drive. Aerial. I need an aerial put in the loft. And what did I need? I needed a cable technician just to rewire some of the cabling. And so we've got 10 businesses there, which I could not find a single thing on Google. It was all Yelp and Gumtree, and crap like check my trader and find my local trader. No, I don't want directory crap. I want an actual business and an actual site. So I literally had to go to Bing to find businesses and sites. Go figure.
Yep. I'm going to package this one up and send it to Matt Cutts.
Yeah, well, you know, but the point I'm trying to make is also, on the other hand, send it to Matt, because they're doing a crap job. They're obviously doing something wrong at the minute, because they're allowing the crap directories to supersede actual businesses. So,
who was it that was posting I forget offhand who was posting that the international side for Google has gotten quite a bit worse since I think Hummingbird is what they were saying. I forget.
After Hummingbird, I actually liked it.
Okay. Well, I just know maybe it was Jin.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but look, for me, it only seems to have occurred over the last 2 months that I've really started noticing really bad search results. About 2 months, I would say.
So the correlation is that the search results went bad when Mike Blog Guest got banned.
Wow, that is a jump. But hey, Jim, you never know, mate. Yeah, so basically, my blog guest has disallowed Googlebot, which in turn has prevented them or stopped them from trawling, 20 million do follow links out there, and has just totally crashed the UK search market.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
All right. Look, will we move on to the next one, guys?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So look, Mike Cook, I hope you like what we've done with those better SEO tools thing, and I thank you for the prompt to get us to do it. Here's one from Ujwal Kumar. Should I go with a Google AdWords or a Facebook campaign? He says, I have a new client who sells camera and camera accessories. I have a limited budget. Should I go with Google AdWords or a Facebook campaign? Please suggest, please offer your suggestions. I have a suggestion if you guys don't have one.
I mean, for the most part, let's see, new client says, I mean, AdWords generally is known to do better when it comes to selling, or even any kind of, like, PLAs might be interesting, but you never know. With Facebook, it might actually work for you, but you'll find that I think most people would say go with AdWords because there's a stronger likelihood in comparison on average with AdWords to be more successful.
Yeah. I was going to suggest, but I'm not sure of the exact terminology, and I should know it. but uploading, I think it's Google Shopping, uploading individual products, and the cost per click is not a lot. I'm just trying to find an example now. Just 1 second.
Is that the product listing ads that people get to see?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think, who was it? Lucas suggested the same thing. Yeah. But just, I don't know. PLAs still need improvements. Its algorithm is pretty wonky still. So that's the only thing to be careful about.
How do you get it to display? Oh, that's right. You click the shopping links. Yeah, I'm actually I've convinced I've convinced the client to do it, and oh, Mikey, you're off. Okay, safe journey to work, mate.
Yeah. Thank you. Take care.
Okay, buddy. Thanks for your help.
Bye.
Okay, as I was saying, I've convinced the client to do it, so I'll report back on the results soon. All right, look, would it be good advice, Tim, to say Facebook is really for generating a community, like generating people? It's not, and you've got to make sure that they're genuine people, not robots. Whereas, you know, a Facebook ad, you might get 100 displays to find one genuine person. It's really like shooting a gun in the air and hoping you're going to hit a bird. I would, yeah, my advice would be to go with Google AdWords, but also if you're selling cameras and camera accessories and you've got a large list of products, consider uploading them to Google Shopping. I think that's worthwhile looking at. Happy with that, Tim? Okay. Next, we have a question from Juanita Gallon. Juanito says, is the title tag on a link a good way to improve SEO? He said, okay, does anyone here think that the alt or title tag on a link is still a good way to improve your site's SEO?
Yeah, they are both important. So your title tag is used to, in the search results to, tell potential visitors what your site's about. So yeah, that's very important. And then alt tags are, of course, used to help tell Google what your images are about. They're getting better at image recognition, but it's still good to give them some information about the image as well. So yeah, I would say both those are important.
Tim, any comment?
No, no, Archie covered that.
Okay, thank you, Archie. Juanito, I hope you're happy with that. Next, from James Simmons. And last week, notice this week, I didn't run that event notification thing for dumb SEO questions. I just started the hangout at the appointed time because last week I ended up in a real dither and I ended up with 2 hangouts. One I had to leave because it wasn't a public broadcast. So I just left that, and unfortunately James Simmons joined it and basically sat by himself for a while, and then Daniel turned up. But anyway, James posted this question on the Dumb SEO Questions community on Google Plus after that night. He said we've had an unreal increase to my local Google Plus pages traffic. James said, "Hi Jim and team, I'm not sure what happened today, but I was given the wrong time and ended up in a different hangout with Daniel. Nonetheless interesting, I saw your answers, thanks." He said, "But I have a question. 2 of my reviews have been removed, and there has been an unreal increase to my local Google Plus pages traffic from a few thousand to 80,000 or 90,000 from one day to the next, both pages. This all happened at the same time and may or may not be related. Do any of you have any ideas? It is a little concerning." If I got a page with 90,000 visits, I wouldn't complain. I wonder if he's looking at the views on his profile.
No, because it's his. No. He's obviously looking at his stats in a Google Plus local page. You get stats which shows you traffic that was sent to your site from from appearing as a map listing for if somebody searches for a plumber and it lists sort of 8 local pages before the search. So yeah, if you're getting that kind of traffic, there's nothing to worry about there. I mean, that'd be fantastic. As for your reviews, the reviews, well, obviously they weren't your reviews from you on the site. It was obviously someone had reviewed it, but what will happen is the people that place those reviews, if they ever log in and actually check their reviews in their toolbar, it will appear to them and Google will tell them what they didn't like about that review, and they can actually edit the review to fit better within their criteria, and then they can resubmit them. So you never know, those 2 reviews may come back if the people that placed them actually look in their review tab in their Google Plus and edit them and submit them again. So they may come back. It's not like they've gone forever. They've just been suspended and sent back to the the person that wrote it for modification. So they may come back and you might develop more. As for a correlation between 2 reviews being removed and a massive increase in traffic, wow, I have no idea on that. No idea on that. Yeah.
So, with these reviews that have been sent back for modification, what sort of thing do they ask to be fixed, Tim?
It's weird because it's funny because all the long reviews I've ever posted, like a really long one, have always been flagged. As for one-liners, wow, I've never had a problem with them being sent back to me. But if I've ever posted a really long review, it always comes back. And then there's also, it tends to it gives you a little highlight on what they don't particularly like. But there's never been anything that jumped out to me really. It always tended to be my long reviews, 10 lines and over, that they've always said to me, no, this doesn't fit within our, and you kind of figure out, well, what doesn't fit? I'm giving you an honest opinion. I don't know. If anything ever does jump out, I'll let you know, but they've never really highlighted what you can or cannot say as such. So they obviously thought it was spammy in some way or sense. And also, if you directly try and send customers to another site or something like that, they also have started flagging those up, because you're meant to be reviewing one site and not saying, well, I won't visit this site, go and use this site. They don't allow that.
Yeah, fair enough. Archie, would you like to add something to that?
No, I think Tim covered it.
Okay. All right. James Simmons, I hope that's good for you. Here's one from another one from Mike Cook. He's after a way to audit a WordPress site. He said, I want to find out how many outbound links are coming out of the site via a tool or plugin. It is quite large, and I'm going through page by page, and it's too time-consuming. But I have a suspicion that the site was compromised a while ago, and outbound links were littered in the site. He said, any suggestions?
There's a tool like Xeno is one you could use. That's a free tool that will basically crawl your site and check your outbound links. And I think the IIS SEO toolkit will also do that for you. So that way you can see any suspicious-looking links that might have been put there. I don't know how useful that would be in this case, though, because it sounds like the site was hacked and meta refreshes were inserted, so I don't think a crawler would probably not pick them up. But generally, those are two good tools you could use to check your outbound links. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. We're buzzing through these tonight. Here's one from Aaron Smith. How can I find out if my current hosting company has a good reputation? And if it has a bad reputation, would that be affecting my rankings?
So basically, he seems to be concerned that any bad websites hosted on there might affect his rankings. I wouldn't really worry about that. Most websites out there are on shared hosting and use shared IP addresses, and Google understands that. So I think it's very unlikely they would, penalize a site just because it shares an IP address with a spam site. If you're looking for a hosting company, I'd be thinking of things like, uptime, the feature set and response times, technical support. I wouldn't be really worried that much about the other sites they host. Google know that most sites are share servers with other sites, so that's not really something I'd worry about. If you do want to look at that, you can always, if you know the IP addresses of their servers, you could always look it up and see some of the other sites they host. Bing have a search operator you can use to do that. And if you see anything that concerns you, you might not want to sign up, but it's really not something I'd worry about personally.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure if you mentioned it there, but whois.domain tools will often tell you the reverse IP. And if you see a number greater than 1,000, you might start to get concerned. All right, Sagar Ubari has a question. Now, I don't know if we can answer this because he hasn't given us much detail, but he says, event tracking code is not functioning. What would be the reason? Can anybody help me out? I'm not sure. I suppose Alistair would know.
I don't know. Was this one covered last week? I see W.E. Young's put a link in there to last week's hangout. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll go past it then. Sorry about that, guys. We shouldn't be able to do that. We've got a thing that stops us from picking up a question twice, but obviously we've done it. Have to check that out. Okay, here's one from Johnny Bates. Johnny Bates is a strong supporter of SEO Questions, and we thank him for that. He's receiving a message, and this is regarding robots text. He says, I have a new client. In Google Webmaster Tools, there is a warning. Severe health issues are found on your site. They have a robots text attached to their homepage. He said, I can't fetch as Google or run a sitemap test. The old SEO folks never told the client anything about it. What do I make of it? Can I just remove it, or did somebody disavow his link? Because of his abilities in his market, he could be a target for negative SEO. I'm guessing that's what he meant. I said bad SEO. Well, he wrote bad SEO. I interpreted that as negative SEO. Maybe I'm misinterpreting that.
So it looks like he asked a question in another community as well, and basically it looks like his robots.txt file was blocking his entire site. So basically, if he updates it to allow crawling, that should resolve the issue. Google generally download it again in Webmaster Tools every 24 hours, so that should fix the issue. If you don't want to block any crawling, you could also delete the file entirely. It's perfectly okay not to have one as well. But yeah, in this case, it just looks like it was blocking his whole site.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, here's one from Swami VK. What is the best method of linking for SEO? Swami says, hello all, I have an SEO dumb question. I'm still confused that in both of the following links, which will be better for SEO? And he gives us, you can read these, I won't try to read them out, but he gives us a set of URLs, and these can be read in the Dumb SEO Questions community on Google+, or on the page on dumbseoquestions.com. Anybody want to respond to Swami? Either of you two guys, or would you like me to? I'll take that as Jim, you go ahead and tell him. Okay, Swami, look, I've done a lot of linking, and I think you're really overcooking the omelette with these long links. I mean, a link is a useful signal for ranking. It's useful, but you've also got to think of the user. The user would look at those links and they just scream spam to me. And really, there are so many keywords there that hardly going to be useful to rank a page. I would really look at the way that you're linking and just completely rethink it, and try to come down to some simple URLs that common sense to the, if they're common sense to the user, you'll probably find that you'll actually do better with them. Look, what you're doing is not crazy. I mean, I did exactly the same thing, much worse than yours. Much longer URLs with, and you know, they worked well for years, but that was way back then, and it certainly won't help you now. The question you have when opening some of those is, I think that's because of the links have been rewritten and the URL encoded. How do I do, Tim? Did it sound half all right, did it? Oh, good. That's cool. Okay, Swami, look, I hope that's a good answer for you. We're a little bit short-handed tonight, and you were unlucky you drew the short straw and got me. Perry Bernard asks a duplicate content question. He says, our dear friend, Mr. MC of Google, he uses the term loosely, I think, has stated in recent times that duplicate content across two websites targeting different countries is not really an issue because spammers are not really likely to go to that much trouble. However, what do people here think? Does that mean hosted in a different country, targeting a different country set in Google Webmaster Tools, or both, or neither? Opinions, thoughts, and finding in evidence, very welcome. Well, I can throw a little bit in here. Would you mind if I jumped in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, duplicate content, you know, really, unless you're just mirroring websites, it's not really the problem that you think that it might be. You know, if you have two websites targeting different countries, and you know, they're set in Google Webmaster Tools and possibly running hreflang would be another possible way to point out that that's the reason that you have the two different sites, even if they might both be in English, but you might have one in oh no, I'm rambling here. I'm wrong there. Maybe hreflang isn't
well, even if you did, yeah. Well, even if you did href. Yeah, even if you did hreflang, you know, one for US, one for UK, and one for Australia. The thing is, with duplicate content, it isn't really a problem. The thing that's going to stop is it won't show, you know, the same page up in the same search space for both things. It will decide which one it's going to show, and it'll show that one. Obviously, if you've used hreflang, it will show the specific country-specific one, which that's great. You know, I don't really see what is actually like kind of, you know, I mean, what he really means. You know, you can host host it in one country, so you don't need to host it in different countries. But of course, if you're having a domain which is specifically for, let's say, Australia, then for sure, you know, you can you can set it in your webmaster tools as the preferred, as the preferred country as such. And naturally, I mean, unless you specifically duplicate the entire site in that sense, but I'm sure your colloquial, certain terms, things like that would change slightly, even though majority of it would be duplicated. Google will see what, which country you're targeting, and either if you have it all on one site and use hreflang, if you've got it on different domains but set as the target country in webmaster tools, there's not really going to be a problem. But I don't really know what you are actually asking, but yeah. But you're not going to have all the same appearing for the same search query in one country, if that's what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I guess he's concerned about duplicate content, and I just don't think it's an issue. I mean, so what if it is duplicate content? It's not a penalty; it's a filter. So it's not going to affect the page that does display. So yeah, I just charge on regardless.
Well, the
I wouldn't.
CCTLDs, the CCTLDs are auto geo-targeted. You cannot change that in Google's webmaster. And with regard to duplicate content, it's not such a thing as you get a penalty. It's more like it's suboptimal to have the same content on your .com and your .co.uk.
Yeah. I mean, it's only because it makes it more difficult. Google will decide which one they're going to show, and occasionally they might get it wrong in the sense that, let's say you had a site with, the same thing showing in multiple categories or sections or whatever. They may occasionally decide on the wrong page. So, for example, you might be typing in pink fluffy steering wheels, and they might actually show the page for purple fluffy steering wheels, if you kind of know what I mean, if you're duplicating the exact same content. So it's more of a filter, and if you providing all this duplicate content, occasionally Google might get it wrong in that sense. So what they say is it's always nicer to, either especially for countries, because it's obviously easier in that way. You can, if it's on the same domain, hreflang, but you theoretically wouldn't have to worry about country TLDs because that in itself is taken care of. Google wouldn't show the wrong country from the wrong one.
Just for clarity, Tim, if we check your Bing search history, we won't find any fluffy steering wheels.
Yes, mate. Loads of them.
Okay. All right.
Edwin's looking really confused.
All right. This one, I'm not sure if this one is a Dorothy Dixer. I say this, that if it is a Dorothy Dixer, do you know what's meant by the term Dorothy Dixer, Tim? No? Okay, let me explain.
No.
Okay. Dorothy Dix was a newspaper columnist, and she used to, like an agony aunt, she used to answer questions asked by the public. So in the Australian Parliament, in question time, they have this thing where the government is asked a question first by the opposition, and then an alternate question answered by asked by a member of the government. So the questions asked by the government members are planned because they ask a question suiting the Member of Parliament. So that's called a Dorothy Dixer because it's a question that they want to, it's a question that they want to make a statement on, so they get someone to ask them a question about it so they can respond with the question. And so I just hope that our friends from SEMrush haven't got Carol to ask us this question so that we can give Carol a glowing recommendation of SEMrush. I mean, I'm happy to give SEMrush a glowing recommendation. I mean, I like what I see so far. But I'd be very pissed off.
Just talking about Dorothy Dixer, right? And I'll give you a perfect example here, right? So I search Google. Google gives me Wikipedia, Urban Dictionary, Wiktionary, Collins English Dictionary, Teagan's Goddard Political Dictionary, Dorothy Dixer definition, Dorothy Dictionary, the word detective. So basically all dictionary crap, yeah? So basically like what I was saying before. Do you know what I mean? Nothing of use. So I go to Bing. Bing, yes, they do have the Wikipedia, etc. But around about position 5, they actually give me the DorothyDixer.com, which is, which is a site about what it actually originated from, how it's originated, and about her. So yeah, another great instance where Bing has provided me with a better search result.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, Google, sort yourself out.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. Anyway, all right. So, getting back to it, Carol Soja asks, which cheaper alternative for Searchmetrics can you recommend? He said maybe SEMrush. Well, see, I don't even know what Searchmetrics charges, so I can't say if they're cheaper or more expensive than SEMrush.
No, about 5 times the price.
All right, so SEMrush is 5 times the price of Searchmetrics. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. No. Searchmetrics is about 5 times the price.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, Carol. We can't give you a more definitive answer. But
what was she asking?
He said, is there a cheaper alternative for Searchmetrics? Can you recommend a cheaper alternative?
Well, if you want cheaper, then you've kind of answered it. She answered herself. Yeah, SEMrush. I would say SEMrush probably does the same, obviously in different formats, but it probably provides the same kind of data that Searchmetrics provides. Obviously, it's all in different ways, but I'm saying in terms of other sites and tools, it probably provides the most similar amount at about 5 times less the price. So you've answered it yourself, yeah.
Okay. All right. Moving on to a question from Rostislav Chernyakowski. If I was to make a name up, that's probably the one I'd come up with. Rostislav, I hope you don't find that insulting, Rostislav. I didn't mean it to be insulting. Anyway, Rostislav asks, he says it has 2 different language subdomains, /Germany and /Russia. He did ask this question of us last week, but we didn't solve his question apparently. But he said he's discovered more problems. He said if I search Google for site www.dopelessdesign.d/ru, everything looks okay. But if I search for site www.dopelessdesign.d/d, everything looks messed up. All but one titles and descriptions are wrong. All titles must have the same structure. I changed them about a month ago, but it looks like some mess in Google Index. And the main page, site www.dopelessdesign.d/d is missing. It looks like Google has not indexed the German version at all. Well, there is a way to do that. He could include, he could do a site search. Oh, wait a minute. When you do a site search, Tim, you wouldn't normally use the subfolder. You'd put the subfolder in as a include URL, wouldn't you? You do site www.dopelessdesign.d space inc URL equals /d/de/. Is that right? Let me try it.
But
feel free to jump in, guys.
I don't know how many pages he's got, but if you do a site search with, if you do a site search with .de/de, there's 11 pages indexed. I don't know how many pages he has, but there's 11 in there. $11 results. Well, actually more, but
tell me something. When you look at this one, I'll just put this link in the chat.
So I don't know what
I'm just putting this in the chat, and it's just a site www.dopelessdesign.de. When I look at it, I'm seeing about 5 different languages. Do you see that?
Well, it's because he's redirecting that one to the /de. I mean, I'm not.
I'm seeing English, Russian, German.
What, you're seeing it? I'm not seeing it. I see the redirect and it goes all squonky.
Yeah. But his root domain .dopelessdesign.de seems to be indexed, whereas it redirects to d/d, so I'm not sure. I don't know, has that redirect been implemented recently? If it has, Google shouldn't be indexing the root page.
Well, no, I think he's only recently done it because I'm not quite sure, but I think when we looked at it last week, there was something with the cache which hadn't been cached yet, or something. If I'm thinking of the right one.
Gives me a
Google.
Yeah, go on. Go ahead.
The web cache for the root domain, which is similar or the same as the directory DE, was indexed on 28th of April 2014. So that was 3 days ago. When did he ask the question?
25th. So
yeah. Is the 302? Did anybody check that?
no, it is a 301. Yeah.
It's just a 301.
Okay. Okay.
But I'm trying to get my head around why the need to, if someone's going for the root directory, wants to land on the root directory, he redirects them. 301 redirects them to .d/d de. And like his homepage links throughout the site are linking to .d/de.
Well, I can't quite remember from last time, but there was something. It was something to do. Well, I think theorized that it was something to do with because he had the Russian. Of course, his his root domain is .de, but because he obviously created the Russian language, which would be obviously /ru, obviously the way that was created, his .de needed a /de to serve that particular country or something to that effect, which we brought up last week. It was like, well, you didn't really need to do that because you're already on a .de TLD, but because he was serving the Russian language also on a /ru, right language pages, he created the German language pages, and that's why. But remember, if you remember last week, he hadn't 301'd the .de to the actual DE. He had multiple, if I'm remembering the right scenario.
Yeah, but I would also check Fetch's Googlebot because the web cache does state that it is the 28th of April this year.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't found a smoking gun, have we? I didn't realise there was more of the question. Did you guys read the rest of the question from the run list?
Right. Just a bit about old pages still in the index.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know which pages these are. I'm trying a few, and they all seem to still exist.
Yeah, but I mean, when I do a site search for, I get about 11, 12 pages with the .de/.de. So he said there's only a couple, but they do. They do exist for me.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I need to see some
So
examples
they are
of.
big.
Yeah, but if there's old pages that are still indexed, I can't find any, so some examples would be helpful then. Let's see.
Well, how about we say this to Rostislav, that we would like to help, we would like to get to the bottom of it. It's puzzling me, but we're going to have to put him off for another week. If we haven't solved it tonight, we'll have to ask for more details, and we'll try again next week. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That covers all of our questions. I don't think I missed any. Did I, Mr. Young? Now we move on to our weekly news roundup on the SEO news community on Google+. Mr. Yonk and others post items of interest that pop up through the week. This is one from Edwin Yonk, posted with the title of Schema.org Analysis, Rich Snippets and Microdata for US 2014. And Edwin said that by way of qualification, it should be noted that domains with integrated schema tags may be generally better optimized than domains without. And in that he's referring to some people saying that sites with schema rank higher in search. Or at least I hope I'm right. Is that what you mean, Edwin?
Yeah, that was a quote from the article itself. Basically, they looked at for the United States for the rich snippet markup, who implemented it and where they were ranking. And basically, they didn't find any solid evidence that the schema markup improves your ranking. First, because only 0.3% of the domains have schema, so that narrows it down pretty well. And are
you there, Tim?
Yeah, what are we doing? What? Hey?
I have a thing about schema.
Oh,
I'm just wondering whether, I mean, is it smart to set your site up so that it can be scraped easily? You know, like, I mean, a lot of people are complaining, and apparently in that article with Josh Brzezinski, Google is looking at compensating site owners for the use of the data that make up the knowledge panel. Now, I take the opposite view. I'm very glad for Google to be publishing the knowledge panel. I think it's an absolutely marvelous thing that they would scrape the site and place something at the top of a result, particularly for branding, so that you've got, say, your Google AdWords on the left-hand side with some site links, then the knowledge graph on the right-hand side, then underneath that the maps listing, the organic listing, and underneath that some more site links for the organic site links, and then the maps, the Google local listing. That makes a website a real brand, like an entity, and people will look at that and say, well, you know, Google loves this particular website. So I'm greatly in favour of the knowledge graph, but what I'm thinking of is that schema just makes it easy for people to be scraped. Now, I look at whatismyip.com. I do it quite often because, you know, I like to know, you know, on the machine I'm at, I sometimes need to know what the IP is, and so I just do whatismyip.com. Do you know, if you look at if you do a search for whatismyip.com now, do one, Tim, and see what you see.
If you do a search, what is my IP, you get your IP, but...
Yeah, but the Google gives it to you. They don't send you to what is my IP. They return the search results, but on top of them, Google gives you your IP.
But you say do search for whatismyip.com, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Then I get whatismyip.com with site links, 6 site links. Anyway,
what I'm saying is that there's Google has a trend to keep people on the Google search results for, you know, as long as they possibly can. Is schema a smart move?
Yeah, that's always.
But even without schema, they're doing this, Jim, because we had that. I don't know whether it was a month ago or something. I think it was for Dell. Maybe it was Dell Computers or something, where they asked for the search term was something like Dell support or something like that, and it lists. Let me just see if it. And it lists contact numbers. Oh no, they've only got one now. But they listed like every country's contact numbers, and he was saying, well, why is it not giving the UK's one or something? But that didn't have any markup on. It was just trawling it from the site. It wasn't as a direct result of schema.
Mm-hmm. I don't use in AdWords those Google callback ads. They keep prompting me to implement them. I don't do them, but I'll just share my screen here. Just bear with me. I suppose it's that one.
But do you think it is the fear of that, Jim? That
Sorry?
webmasters are, do you think it is the fear of Google that webmasters aren't implementing it?
Look, I think people are progressing towards schema, but yeah, but I was just wondering whether it was a good thing to do. I mean, I've always intended to convert our sites to schema, but these days, you know, I mean, it seems fairly obvious to me that, I mean, eventually Google. Well, hang on, I'll stop sharing my screen. It's a bad idea because I've got the Hangout in a tab and it just keeps showing it up. Click that. That's not going to help. Yeah, that's better. Lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
If webmasters feared the schema.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it just seems to me that eventually Google is going to consume the entire ecosystem that surrounds it. Does it make sense to make it easy? You know, I don't know. I mean, to my mind, to survive in business on the web in forthcoming years, I think you've got to pick something that's not easily scraped, like a service that's you know, it's not useful to scrape. Or am I just rambling?
I think that webmasters aren't implementing it because of there's no gain for them. So why should they implement it if they cannot see any results from their work?
Comments, Tim?
But ultimately, even if Google is showing it in search like that, you're still getting, you know, if someone's searching for Dell contact numbers, right, and Google gives you the number, don't you think that's you know, the person wants the phone number. Does it really not matter whether the Google gives you the number to call or whether they have to click through to Dell's country page to find that number? Because ultimately,
No, I agree with you. That's right. That's a good thing.
The end result is that you're still going to get the phone call.
Yeah, but Google should give that that data to webmasters. If they don't get that particular data about which snippets, then
yeah, but how can they?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Maybe on mobile phones they could do that with mobile phone.
Yeah, yeah, with mobile.
I don't think they get any specific data on if you are in the knowledge graph, for example. People click on a particular link. They don't provide you that data. So when you go to your CEO and say, "Wow, we've done this to the website. It's great." Well, he's going to ask, "Well, what's my return on the investment, right?" You cannot give that.
Yeah.
Am I breaking up, Jim?
No.
No, you're not breaking up, but I'm just concerned that I might be.
Not at the moment.
Cool.
And in the article, they use quite popular, or the things where they are rich snippets for. They looked at movie, offer, TV series, review, product article, breadcrumb, web page. Oh, that's an odd one, isn't it? What would be the rich snippet for a web page. And they didn't look at business information, I think.
Okay. Well, will we say that we've covered this weekly news item?
I think so.
Very well. Next one is 22 on your run list from Micah Fisher-Kirchner. And he says a fun topic, not just Haro, but of the whole process itself in Google Webmaster Tools. This is regarding an article on Search Engine Land. It was titled, actually, "We don't think Google hates Haro links." Now, Haro is a website called Help a Reporter Out. It involves an SEO who was doing a cleanup in response to a manual penalty notification in Google Webmaster Tools for a particular site, and it's come down to the point where two of the links that Google is pointing out as suspect are on a site called Help a Reporter Out. Is that how you guys read the article, or am I imagining things?
Yeah. I think it was similar to the example a couple of months ago, or maybe even a year, about yellow pages. Somebody got a link penalty, a manual link penalty, and Google provided some examples. And in one of those examples, there was a link from yellowpages.com, and I think that's similar. I think for Yellow Pages, John Mueller replied and said, well, it's not the link itself, it is the content on that particular page that makes it a spammy link.
What, on the Yellow Pages page or on the landing page?
On the Yellow Pages. It was keyword stuffed and all rich anchor.
On Yellow Pages, it was keyword stuff.
Yeah, on Yellow Pages. Yeah. And I think this was similar, where there was an article on Haro, and basically the article was spam, and therefore the link that came out from that was also spam. In Google's eyes, of course.
Well, not actually Google's eyes. It was initially a competitor's eyes, and that competitor went to a form on the web and dobbed someone in, which called down one engineer to look at it, and then another engineer to approve the manual action. Yeah.
Do you use Help a Reporter? Did you ever use it?
I haven't.
No, me neither. I didn't know it existed.
All right. Will we move on from this one? You'll have to help me out with this one because I didn't get time to read up on it. It's a post from Mr. Edwin Yonk, item 23 on your run list. Sad story about blackmailing a small webmaster. A hat tip to the inimitable Pelagic. and this was an article shared by Securi on the securi.net blog. AdSense blackmail hacking websites for profit. And the Security blog went on to say, we deal with different types of malware injections and compromises every day. And the most common question our clients ask us is, why me? Why my small little site? Comments on this one, Edwin? Or anyone?
Yeah, it was, according to Security, quite a unique hack in the sense that first they hacked the site and they placed their own AdSense on. And after they emailed to the webmaster that they should leave that code, otherwise they would do other stuff to her site, and basically blackmailing her. And if she didn't comply with leaving those AdSense on her site, they would basically destroy the whole site, and they were in her machine. I think that's the story in a nutshell.
It'd be good to be able to, I mean, see, this is where it's wrong. They have people to answer spam reports, but no people to answer in cases like this where it's an open and shut case. I mean, the way to fix those people and to take away the financial incentive to do this sort of harm is to take these people out of the AdSense program.
Yeah, yeah. I think if you report this to Google with emails and such, then for sure they will investigate it, because this is bad for Google, and it's bad for AdSense, it's bad for the advertisers that advertise to AdSense or AdWords.
How would you report it? Who would you report it to?
Well, I'm not that familiar with AdSense, but I'm sure you can report something like this particular AdSense user is extorting me.
I don't
maybe follow up with the police report. And
unfortunately, Masataki has a cold tonight and can't be here, but he's one we should ask.
Indeed.
They do have a reporting tool. Put the link in the chat. There's various types of things you can report to them. Let's see.
Yeah, I think also if a site has too many ads and stuff, you can report them.
Yeah, there's various things that go against the guidelines, you know, or the policies.
Well, here they state your ad code has been placed on your site without your permission. So.
Yeah, but that's your ad code. Your ad code. In other words,
yes, your ad code. Yes.
Somebody scraped your site and has your ads.
Yeah.
Played. I mean, that's an easy thing to fix. You just only have a list of sites where you permit the ads to be displayed. That's easy. That's easy to cover.
Yeah, you can do that in the dashboard now.
Sorry.
Yeah, you can.
You can set that in the dashboards on which websites you want to display.
Yeah, you can exclude sites.
Always been able to do that. Yeah. Been able to do that for 12 years. I tell you something we can talk about. That nonsense that person was pretending that they put an open letter on Pastebin to talk about supposedly an insider, a whistleblower from on an AdSense whistleblower. Does anyone see that last night?
Yeah, I saw that one, but I was thinking if I would share it, but at the end it's just a waste of time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 100% crap, 100% rubbish, and provably so, because he quoted a particular time that people weren't allowed to earn past more. Well, back in those days we were earning more, so it didn't happen.
And he also stated that every Googler or ex-Googler was in a green zone, or I don't think so. I don't think that.
Oh, I know.
That every Googler or ex-Googler is in some sort of green thing, even if they do crazy stuff.
Yeah. No, I'd say the whole thing is nonsense.
Yeah.
All right. Next, we have another one. This was a great thing. This was an article or a post made by the inimitable Tony McCreath, titled "Should SEOs Broaden Their Skills or Specialise?" I thought this was a great post. So, with your permission, I'll read it out. Tony said, I agree with an article from Dwayne Forrester, but I think it's focused on the company, not the individual. For example, largely it means that folks covering more than just SEO will be in greater demand. And those focused solely on SEO may want to consider doing more in a broader range of areas. He said this is true for a company with teams and departments. They should not put all eggs in one basket. But as an individual, I'm trying to go the other way, i.e. specialization. Currently, I have smaller clients and have to wear all the hats. SEO, social, content, advertising, user experience, customer relationship management, conversion rate optimization, etc. He said, this makes me an amateur at many things. It also means I have to do things that I'm not so passionate about. He said, I want to specialise, that is, to get even better at the core subject I am most skilled at technical SEO. SEO is not getting simpler, it's getting more and more complex. It's gone from keyword stuffing to semantics and a web of things. Companies that treat SEO as an intern's job will not keep up. It will take a specialist. So hopefully there'll be more demand for top-notch SEOs from forward-thinking companies. So SEOs, what direction do you want to head in? Then he gives a link to is SEO the future? No, and here's why, from Bing.com. It has an explanation. SEO is a combination of technical work at the site code level, content management at the editorial level, and usability work, and often spamming both of that. And I don't know what comes next. Anyway, that was what was written there. So, do we specialize?
The author of that post is Dwayne Forrester.
Mm-hmm.
The Met Cuts of Bing. Good friends of Tim.
You want to talk about the noble art of SEO, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's like I said, you've got to diversify in that sense, because the landscape has changed so much. Yeah, you know, as search changes pretty much monthly, you kind of need to learn, adapt, become an overall marketer you know, it changes daily, monthly, and you kind of need to adapt. And you know, you don't have to be all things at once to all sites, because of the way it changes so quickly. What I've found is, you know, you need to kind of understand the overalls, but sometimes, and it depends. This obviously depends on if you're working in a large company or an agency or whatever the case may be. But for myself as a small business, I need to look at sectors and say, well, there's just, look, yeah, fine, okay, read up on it, kind of understand it, but there's no way I have the expertise or I can provide that expertise. So it's, you know, either subcontracting that out if somebody wants it, or knowing that it's there so that you can recommend it to a client, even, and be honest. I mean, I always say, look, actually, chap, you know, what you're asking for, I would love to be able to do it, but I don't have the time or resource to provide that for you. And here is someone that I know can do it for you, or subcontract it out. But yeah, you know, there is a limit and a point to someone's knowledge. I would be aware of it, try and learn about it. If it really interests you and tweaks you and you can see a massive potential for it, then perhaps drop offering something for offering something else. Or yeah, you know, it's always growing and there's always going to be new things coming up.
Yeah, I think so. I think that you also have to view the article with regard to Bing. As far as I know, Microsoft is bundling all their products into one. I think Bing now supports things on Xbox, and Xbox is using Windows-like machines, and they have to connect there, which can be used. So I think he's more talking about not only about the search engine itself, but also what it does at the back end for Microsoft itself. At the end, he says, "Where's the future? Mobile wearables, in-house devices, automobiles." Microsoft does have an automobile software. I think Ford uses it, and Bing is also implemented there. So I think he's talking about those things, about what Microsoft is doing with its Bing product.
Even that's difficult to answer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Where would you get that? Wow. Buy a couple of shares in Bing, because then, of course, they're mandated to keep their shareholders up to date with new product developments. So buy a couple of shares and you will get regular updates. And then try and keep up with the technology.
But it will be interesting. Google is doing a little bit of the same with Google Now and those cards with in-app search.
Everything's growing at such an exponential rate. It's just phenomenal.
So I can see Tony's point about more specialization, but I cannot see where he says I only want to do technical SEO, because I don't think that was the meaning of the blog article. The blog article says that there are more sections within people's life where search is going to be used. And where do you want to specialize in? Do you want to specialize on the mobile? Do you want to specialize on in-house devices, wearables?
Yeah, it's massive. Whew.
And I also Dejan SEO did a hangout with a Microsoft guy, and I think he talked about Connect. You were there, Jim? No?
I was. And what I mean, I don't remember him talking about anything called Connect.
Oh, okay. Maybe I missed that one.
No.
I thought he was talking about hand gestures. You need Connect for that. No?
Look, to be honest, he probably did, but I must have missed it. It was Frederick Fuchs. He's a operating systems and services evangelist from Microsoft. If you haven't watched that yet, Tim, you should watch it. Okay, let's say we've covered Tony's article, and let's move on to the second last item. Item number 25 was guided search, a new way to find what you're looking for. Pinterest can help with the questions that have more than one right answer. Again, I didn't get time to look at this one. So I hope you did, Edwin, or Tim.
Well, what interested me was that Pinterest is now seriously looking at search. I remember, or still, Twitter is the search in Twitter is awful. So it's interesting to see that Pinterest is implementing search so early on, or taking a good look at search and what they can do with search. I think Twitter missed that one. But I don't really use Pinterest.
Oh well,
you, Jim?
Yes, mate. You've stumbled into a meeting of the Bing fan club.
No, Jim. Okay. What we were saying earlier on, and I don't know about you, but in the last month, I have been using Bing more and more and more to provide me with a better search result than Google's provided me with. The main one is local niche businesses. Google seems to be dominated with directories, Yelp, find this directory, that directory, and it doesn't provide me with anything on the first page of actually a website to go to. It's just bollocks directories. And if I go to Bing, they provide me with a business within the first 10 results that I can actually pick up the phone and phone or click onto their website without having to click onto a directory, then reading the directory, and then finding a website. So, yeah, Bing, I think, is doing, at the minute, for local search results and some national search results, doing a far better job than Google in the last 2 months, especially in the UK.
So what do you say about that, Edwin?
So it's not a fan club or a love club for Bing. What I'm just saying is that at the moment, Google is doing some pretty crappy results.
Well, for local results, I just search for plumber in my hometown. For Bing, I don't get a nice one box. I only get directory after directory. And in Google, I do get a one box with a phone number. And
not me. No, in the UK. No, I mean, I search obviously in the specific area, my local area, but it's all dominated with directories. whereas Bing, on the other hand, is dominated with websites. So there's obviously something gone cocked up in the UK over the last 2 months.
No, Bing Local only found one plumber, and that's not true. That I'm sure of.
Yeah, no, it's funny that it's funny.
And, Bing Local, I don't think it is open for the Netherlands. Is it open for the UK?
Yeah, well, I was just doing a local search with the town query in it.
No, Bing Local. You can list your company on Bing Local, and I know for sure that it is closed for the Netherlands.
Oh.
I don't know if it is open for. They probably use a data provider for that particular listing that I got. Bing Local. Bing Places for Business.
I'm looking at it now. Yeah.
.com.
Oh, that's quite cool, actually.
You didn't knew this, Jay?
Can I have a URL, please, Edwin?
Yeah, sure. But it's quite simple. It's bingplaces.com. So. Where can you?
This is cool. I have to say, Tim, that in Tweed Heads, I just entered the single word plumber into Bing, and I didn't get a great result from it. And just at the Bing, the Google result. Actually, the Google result isn't too good either. Even the ads, they give me Jim's Plumbing in Adelaide, Ken Hall Plumbers, Adelaide, Maysbury.com.au, plumber in Adelaide. Well, I'm in Tweed Heads. Why are they giving me ads for Adelaide?
Okay, they only allow for the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, India, Germany, Spain, Italy, Brazil, and Mexico. So.
Well, that covers all the countries you've got houses in, Tim.
Yes, mate. Yeah.
They forgot about Russia then.
You see, now in Bing, I've searched for plumbers in Corby, and I've got the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are actual sites. And then, well, I suppose the other five are, I don't know why the actual council's thing is in there, but anyway, then it's you know, the usual Yell crap and, you know, stuff like that. But in my UK one, it's just all shit. It's all directories. So, but I also noticed that in some of the place listings, you know, the business listings that appear in search queries in the UK for some counties is also just getting balked. They're just not in the right counties even, or in the right categories. So I don't know. I think they're just maybe doing a big overhaul in the UK. I don't know what they're doing, but something's gone a bit messy.
Well, I just did a search for sports shop London and sports shop Amsterdam. For Amsterdam, they don't have anything for Bing local. Oh well.
Well, I suppose that's also up to companies to add this stuff, isn't it?
Well, you cannot add it because it is closed.
Oh yeah, for you. But I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm liking some of it. I think I'm going to add a few. I'm just searching to see if some of the businesses are listed naturally, organically, and they're not. So I think I'm going to a few sites.
From memory, I think it's also being used for Yahoo.
I'm assuming. Yeah.
Oh.
Right, I need to. I've got a conference call coming up in 5 minutes, Jim. So I need to run.
Yeah, no problem, mate. Thank you for your contribution tonight.
No problem.
Thanks, Tim.
So,
Yeah. Cheers, Edwin.
We'll look forward to launching onlineownership.com next week, will we?
I don't know. It depends when Andy can squeeze that in. Yeah, Andy said he was going to just get the site back up for me. I found some old PSD files from the other site, from the old site, and I managed to dig out some of the content I had on it. And so I've to see when Andy can get those couple of pages up, and then I'll just transfer the content across from Google Plus business pages across to that. So it's it's a relatively full site. And yeah. All right. I'll catch up with you.
No problem.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Edwin, just you and I.
Yeah. And all the questions are answered.
Yeah, that one we actually covered that last one on our run list. We covered that last week. I don't know how that got put on there.
Did we? I don't.
Yeah, number 25, 26, I should say.
26. Oh, there was another one.
Yeah.
Oh,
did
yes.
you see that? We did cover it, didn't we? It was.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I don't have lyric sites, so. nothing useful to say about that.
All right. Well, look, to the one viewer that's is still with us, thank you very, very much. You know, the support of you continuing to watch us makes what we do worthwhile. We're grateful that you take the time to listen to what we have to say, and we'll be back same time next week. Yeah, thanks very much.